Peter Sundergaard, who was an old man in the 1930s, and I was 10, 11, 12, 13. He used to run the farm behind me. He had a little farm. And he used to own the property. And Sundergaard's pond was a big pond back there that we used to ice skate on all the time. And he used to chase me all the time from stealing his berries and stealing his different produce that he raised. So I did know him and knew him well, you know. But as a kid, you know, I mean, get out of here! Don't be stealing my produce. But that's basically how I knew him. But I never was formally introduced to him. You know.
You were always too busy running the other way.
Yep. And he had some pigeons. They were pure white pigeons to raise for squab, because everybody ate squab around here, you know. Pigeons, you eat pigeons. In any case, we went over there one night to take some of his pigeons. And I climbed up in his pigeon loft, which is up on top of a barn. And he came out. And he never knew I was up there, but the other guys took off and left me up there in the pigeon loft. So I sneaked my way out of there and home. And I said the next day, I said, you guys, you left me up there all alone. But anyway, yeah, but he was a great old guy.
He could do anything. He worked for the public service in Jersey City, Hudson County. He was I don't know, executive of some kind, but a real handy man.
Well, of course, we have a race named after.
Well, Duke, sure.
So tell me.
That cleat that's over there, that's one
that big one?
Yeah, I made that for the trophy.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
You made the big cleat?
Yeah, took the big cleat and put it on a board and cleaned it all up and I polished it and painted it with bronze paint.
I always wanted to meet the guy who made the big cleat.
I didn't make it. It came off. That's when
yeah, right, but put it on.
That's when we put in the new dock. And we were awfully fortunate. We had a member in the club who was an engineer in Manhattan. And he designed the dock that we had. And the big thing that I argued about naturally, because it cost money, was you drove the piling to refusal. That meant sometimes the water out there is 5 feet, but it got a 45-foot piling in there. It goes down till you can't drive it no more. And he said it'll never come up, not in the ice. And he's right, because those piling that's over in that steamboat dock, they were driven the same way with a steam driver.
The first time I came in a club, I was probably 8 or 9 years old. I don't remember much. But when I started high school, most of my friends belonged to the club. Really? Because their parents, it used to be a tradition in the club, if your father belonged, as soon as you turned 21, you were automatically enrolled. Of course, I was not a member, but I was a friend of the member. They got tired of kicking me out after a while and they left me alone. But in those days, of course, the bay was clean and we spent the summers swimming. We had bathhouses down here. We had a nice beach and bathhouses and a diving platform, and that was our summer. That was the original clubhouse, screened-in porch, and later, of course, we took the porch and closed it and made a bar before it burned. But that's my earliest thing, and I stayed. We had the original clubhouse. Of course, there was a hall on the side where they had ping pong tables and pool tables, and we used to go to high school then only a half a day because they were overcrowded. We'd be down here either in the morning playing ping pong or shooting pool, or in the afternoon. In summers, I don't think we ever had anything on but bathing trunks, really. So, but the water was nice then.
Well, I think that the role that the women played in the club is the same role that women played in society, okay? In other words, we were a support group to the club because the club was male member based. The auxiliary was very active and you know, supported the club for many, many years. But the membership in the auxiliary began to decline, just as it did when women left the home, were career-oriented, and started working. And essentially, that's what happened to the auxiliary.
My mom was president at 1 year, and my Aunt Myrtle was president 1 year. I think back in the 50s. And one of the things that the Ladies Auxiliary did that I remember is during the winter, there would be a group of them, like my Aunt Myrtle, my mother, and say my Aunt Gladys, who was my Uncle Everett's wife, and he was also a member. They were allowed maybe, they were given like $10, you know, because I'm talking, you know, when $10 went a long way. And they would make up finger sandwiches and stuff. And then from the bar, they would get whiskey sour, you know, whiskey sours would be mixed, and they'd have a punch bowl. And they would have cocktail parties. Like, it would seem like it was maybe once a month during the winter on Sundays, Sunday afternoon. And everybody, you know, parents and their children would come, and you know, it would be a fun time. And we had, there was Bob Pryor and Billy Sprague, and Leroy Stoltz. There might have been one other person. They had a little band that they played at weddings and so forth. So when the club had something and they weren't busy, they would come down and just entertain everybody during, you know, whether it was a Valentine's Day party or a New Year's Eve party or whatever that they had. You know, they would be the entertainment, which was really nice.
Yeah, we had a lot of people with a lot of talent, and everybody pitched in, and the board meetings were discussed more of those kinds of issues than today. Now a lot of it is done administratively, which is okay, it works well. But I mean, if a plank needed to be replaced on the dock, that would be mentioned at the board meeting. Now, you know, the commodore in charge of the dock would probably tell the dock chairman, hey, we got a bad plank, you know, so things are more, you know, and it does streamline the operation, but so the board meetings got quite long. You know, you'd spend an hour talking about putting a plank on a dock and how much it's going to cost. I remember when we were getting robberies out here, so, oh, we got to do something about this. So, well, one member said, well, the greatest deterrent to crime is light, so let's put some lights out. Well, the light that's on the top of that sign out there is the last of the lights we put out there. And I do remember this fellow did all the research on the lights, and he got the right kind of spotlight, and that would show up properly. And well, he had to get what it would cost to run these lights before we could approve that. And that's how detailed the board meetings were. And I think it was like $60 a year, so we went for the lights. But that reminds me of something. When I was secretary, I used to look back in the old minutes down in the office, back in the 30s. And I came across, and the minutes were like 2 lines long. There wasn't a lot going on. And the club treasury had $2.39 in it. And at that time, it was traditional that the club bought cigars for all the board members. And they had an electric bill, had to be approved at that meeting. So they had to decide whether to buy the cigars or pay the electric bill. They bought the cigars.